Hi everyone, welcome to Yoga with Heini. I'm Heini, and this week I'm going to lead you through a hands-free Hatha Yoga practice. So we're going to do mostly standing poses. It's a great practice for strengthening the legs, especially if you don't want to put any weight on your arms. If you have injuries in your hands, arms, shoulders, or you just don't want to do any downward dogs today, then this is a practice for you. Let's get started. You don't necessarily need any props for this week's practice, but a yoga block or a couple of books that you might use as yoga blocks might be a handy prop to have somewhere nearby, just in case you want to use a block. Other than that, you just need yourself, your practice space, and we are ready to start. And we're going to start from standing up in a mountain pose. So make yourself comfortable in your mountain pose. You could have your legs, your feet about hip width apart, or maybe a bit wider. Where do you feel stable? And let your arms lengthen down by your sides. Take a slightly bigger breath in and out. You could sigh the breath out. And then inhale, lengthen arms up towards the ceiling. And just one big breath in. Reach your back, reach your arms up. Only where you feel comfortable. So if you have any pain in the shoulders here, you're very welcome to leave the arms bent. And then exhale, release the arms down. So throughout the practice, if you know you have injuries in the upper body, be careful and take it easy. Next, we're going to go straight into a balancing pose. We're going to do the twiglet pose, which is a baby tree pose, or you could make a full tree balancing pose if you want. Come stand on your right foot first and open your left hip. And you decide if you do a twiglet pose, leaving your left foot or the toes on the ground and bring palms together. Or if you want to go into a tree pose, you could also lift your left foot next to your shin or all the way up onto the inner thigh, possibly opening arms wider out. You choose. Where do you feel you could ground down through that right foot now in the beginning of the practice? So if you feel wobbly, keep your left foot closer to the ground and breathe in and out. Being wobbly, feeling wobbly is very fine. Our balancing poses are meant to be dynamic, not static. We're not trying to be statues. We are actively engaging muscles, actively adjusting the pose. Take another breath in and out. And then exhale, slowly release the pose. Bring the arms down, bring both feet down. And maybe a couple of times move from one foot to the other. We're going to try same on the other side. So now shift weight onto your left foot and open your right hip. And again, option for twiglet pose, which means you keep the right foot toes on the mat. Or if you want, you can lift the right foot higher up. You choose. Either bring palms together or reach your arms out. And find your balance. Now on the left side, keep your both buttocks active. Like your buttocks are gently hugging towards each other, towards the center line. And if you feel stable in twiglet, you could slowly try lifting the right foot higher up. Maybe again, somewhere next to the shin so the foot is below the knee, or even up into the inner thigh. Make sure you can keep on breathing so we don't start to hold the breath. Let's take another 2 breaths in and out. And if you fall out of the pose, that's very fine. You can always come back into the pose. And after those 2 breaths, let's slowly release the balancing pose on the second side. Bring your arms, bring your feet down again. You can move your feet, you can roll the shoulders. And then let's do a few active breaths in this standing pose. With your next in-breath, reach arms up. Reach your back up as well. Exhale, bring the arms down. Same again. Inhale, press feet down and reach your back, reach your arms up, open the chest. And exhale, bring the arms sideways down. Once more, with your own in-breath, feet grounding down, arms growing up. And exhale, release the arms down. Roll the shoulders. And then we're going to go into a side bending pose, a half moon side bend. So now, either keep your feet a bit wider apart, or if you want to balance a bit more, bring your feet together. So smaller space for the feet makes your balance a bit more. And you'll have options for the arms here. First option, bring your right arm behind the back and lengthen your left arm up. Inhale and exhale, bend over to your right. So you come into a half moon, crescent moon, side bending pose. And you can keep your arms as they are, or if you want, now bring your right hand to your left wrist. So holding the left wrist with the right hand, and then gently with the right arm, you can maybe pull the left side tiny bit longer. Staying in that side bend, let your neck, your head move into that side bend as well. Breathe a couple more times in and out. The feet pressing down, legs very active, inner thighs active, buttocks active. And then inhale, lift yourself back up, and exhale, release the arms down again. You can roll the shoulders a bit. And we'll do the same to the other side. If you need to adjust your feet, you can adjust your feet. Now left arm behind the back and right arm reaching up. So that's the first option for the arms. Inhale. And as you exhale, bend over to your left. So now the opening is along the right side of the body. You might slightly lean the pelvis towards the right side if you want. And either keep arms here, or now you could bring your left hand to your right wrist. And then slowly and gently pull the right side to be just a bit longer. It is also stronger for your core and back if you have both arms overhead. So if you feel it's too much for the back now, bring that left arm back down. And check that you can still keep breathing. Take another breath or two in and out. And then with an in-breath, slowly bring yourself back up. And exhale, release the arms. You can roll the shoulders. And at this point, if you are facing the long side of the mat, like I am, I suggest turning towards the top of the mat, towards the short end of the mat. We'll soon need some space behind us. And we're going to come into a chair pose. Here you'll have options for the arms again. We'll start with palms together in front of the chest. And again, feet could be hip width apart, feet could be together if that feels okay in your chair pose. First, inhale and press the feet down. So you're kind of firing up towards the spine. And exhale, bend the knees and send your pelvis back. And keep the balls of the feet, keep your heels pressing down, but you're sending maybe a bit more weight towards the back side. At the same time, the back reaching in the opposite direction. And you can keep your hands here together in front of the chest, or to challenge the back, the core a bit more, you could extend the arms overhead. So again, it adds a bit more extra weight, extra challenge for the back. Breathe here. Keep the knees bent. Keep the pelvis going down and back. And then we're going to go straight into flat back pose. So now with your next exhalation, slightly straighten the legs and try to bring your back into a more parallel line with the floor. You can either keep your arms overhead, or you might bring hands onto your knees, onto your shins, so you're supporting the back slightly with your arms. But now the intention is to have your back in a more horizontal line, parallel to the floor. Legs maybe a bit more straight, if that feels okay. Don't need to be fully straight. We're opening a bit more through the backs of the legs, but they are still very active. Take another breath in and out. Head reaching away from the tail. And then, happy times, we're going to go back into chair pose. So now with your next exhalation, bend the knees, and this time bring the palms together in front of the chest. Especially if you've had your arms overhead for a long time, now bring the palms together. Last few breaths in a chair. Find your happy place and keep breathing. And then as you inhale, push yourself up, reach arms up towards the ceiling. And exhale, bring the arms down behind the back. Either interlock your fingers behind the back so arms are more extended, or bend from the elbows and reach hands to the opposite elbow. You choose. We go into a forward bend. Inhale. And then exhale, start to hinge from the hips, so going through that flat back, but now continuing all the way down into a full forward bend. And depending on where your arms are, it might be that your hands are resting on your back. Or if you feel that it's safe for your shoulders, for your arms, and you have hands interlocked, you might extend the arms lower down behind the back. But be very careful with this option if you have injuries going on. It's a big opening for the whole back side of the body, from the legs all the way to the back, all the way to the neck. Let your heavy head hang down. Take another couple of breaths in and out. And the legs, the feet are still active, so they're still pressing down. The front of the legs is very active. If you have extended arms behind the back, slowly bring hands and arms onto your back first. Then bend the knees more. Exhale, start to roll the back up. Release the arms on the way. And inhale, reach arms up once more. Exhale, release hands and arms down. They can come all the way down. And now from here, we're going to step into the open horse pose, or as some people say, the goddess pose. So opening, legs wide apart. At this point, maybe turn again towards the long side of the mat, so you have space to open, legs wide apart. And we're going to turn the feet open as well, so that when you bend your knees from here, you're rotating the hips open and your knees, your toes would go about in the same direction. And the first round of the goddess, the open horse, is a moving one. So now as you inhale, reach arms up. Exhale, bend your knees and cactus the arms. So you bend from the elbows, open the palms, and here you can let your feet move. You can adjust your feet, so making sure your knees, your toes go about in the same line. And breathe. With the next in-breath, lift yourself up. You can reach the arms up, extend the legs. And we'll do same again. Exhale, bend the knees, cactus the arms. Active rotation through both hips. So you are kind of rotating the thighs open. And once more, inhale, lift up, reach arms up. And exhale once more, lower down into that open horse. Keep your chest free, keep your shoulders soft. Breathe once more here, in and out. And then inhale, lift yourself up. And as you exhale, open arms out to the sides into a T shape. We're going to go into a triangle pose next. And we're going to go to left side. So now rotate your feet a bit like you would be going into Warrior 2, if that's a more familiar pose for you. Or like you'd be going into triangle pose, because that's where we're going to go. And so turn left foot, left hip more open and close the right foot and hip slightly. Now what we're going to do, we're going to first exhale, bend the left knee quite deeply, and then tilt down towards that left leg and bring left hand just resting on the left ankle or shin. And from there, open the chest. You can either reach the right arm up or bring right arm behind the back. So I'm not leaning onto that left arm. It's just supporting the shape, but I'm more using my legs to push up. And I'm using the core to stay here, not collapsing down. If you want to go further, start to extend, start to straighten that front leg, that left leg, but still keeping your upper body down. And now you might get a big stretch along the right side body. Could be a big stretch along that left leg, maybe on the outside of the right hip. And keep your chest open, whether your arm is behind the back or up. Keep your chest open. You can look down to the floor if that's better for the neck. Take another breath in and out, both feet actively pressing down. And then if you have your left leg straight, exhale, bend the knee again quite deeply. Reach the right arm up and inhale, lift yourself all the way up. Release the arms, close the feet, roll the shoulders. We're going to do same to the other side, but before we do that, we're going to do another goddess, another open horse variation. So open your both hips, your both feet again, and this time you're going to have an option to lift heels off the floor, so strengthening the feet even more. As you inhale, reach arms up, open the chest. And as you exhale, bend the knees, again, lower down like you're sitting down on a big, big horse. And you have an option to keep the arms in this cactus shape, or you can now bring your palms together in front of the chest. And if this is plenty enough, just stay here, or lift your heels off the floor. So you're standing on your toes, the balls of the feet, balancing, still trying to keep the pelvis down and trying to keep the knees bent. So really, really strengthening the legs, ankles, feet. Keep breathing. One more breath in and out, shaking muscles, very fine. And if you have your heels lifted, bring the heels down. Inhale, reach up, straighten the legs. You can reach arms up. Exhale, open the arms into that T shape again. Now we go into triangle on the other side. So you can rotate your feet, turn your hips. So now the right hip is more open. You can close the left hip. So pelvis is more diagonally towards the corner of the mat. Inhale, reach arms out. Exhale, bend the right knee and bring your right hand maybe just kind of resting on the right shin, resting on the right ankle. And then open your chest. So turn the chest out to the side. Either reach the left arm up or bring left arm behind the back. So listen to your shoulders, your arms. And then you have the option of straightening the right leg, pressing the right foot down, and maybe finding a bit more of a stretch, and maybe in the back of the right leg, maybe along the left side body. And keep breathing. So here, the back doesn't need to be straight. It could be in a side bend. Keep the legs really strong, really active. So both feet pressing down. Breathe more to the ribs so core can stay active. Take another breath or two in and out. Again, the right arm is not really leaning onto the leg, it's just supporting. You could move your right arm at any point. And then exhale, bend the right knee, reach left arm up, and inhale, bring yourself all the way up to standing. Release the arms, close the feet, and you could now walk the feet, heel toe the feet closer together. Roll the shoulders and take a couple of breaths in your mountain pose. Let the breath calm down a bit. And then we are going to come into a full forward bend again. So if you want, you could turn towards the top of the mat. And if you have a block there, have it somewhere nearby. I'm going to show you how you can use it in a squat pose if you want. So feet about hip width apart. Bring hands onto your thighs. Inhale. And then exhale, slowly roll the spine down. So now we go vertebra by vertebra down. Head coming down first. You can bend your knees. And just slowly find yourself in that full forward bend. You could just rest your hands, rest your arms hanging down. Or if you want, you can hold elbows. So right hand holding left elbow, left hand holding right elbow. And just hanging upside down a few breaths. You can rock the weight from toes to heels, heels to toes. Does that change how the pose feels? Let's take another breath in and out. And then if you are holding the elbows, release the hands, the arms down. And we're going to come into a squat pose. So now walk your feet a bit wider apart, maybe to the edges of the mat. And start to open the toes tiny bit out to the side as we lower the pelvis down into Malasana pose, the yogi squat pose. And here, if you're comfortable here without any props, just bring the palms together in front of the chest, elbows on the inside of the knees. Or you could use a block or some books under the pelvis. So if the pose feels very intense, you could bring a block under the pelvis and then lean the pelvis slightly onto the block. It might take just some extra pressure off your ankles, off your knees, your hips. And especially if you normally lean onto your hands, if you feel you need to lean onto your hands, leaning onto the block under pelvis might actually make the pose just a bit more comfortable. Might give you those few extra breaths in the pose. And breathe. Trying to keep the chest open. Could be a big opening around the groin area. Inner thighs. Hamstrings. Maybe the lower back. Take another breath or two in and out. And then from this yogi squat, what we're going to do is we're going to lean to sit down. So now I encourage you to find the easiest way from here into a seat. If you feel that you want to come up standing first and then sit down, that's very fine. Or if possible, from that squat, release the arms and just lean back. Now, it's easier when I have the block under my pelvis, so I can just release the legs from here. But you could do this without the block as well. We're going to come into a full seated forward bend next to it. If you have a block under your pelvis, maybe leave it there. It might make the pose quite nice. What it does, it helps the pelvis to tilt forward a bit more. Or you could be sitting down on the floor. Knees could be a bit bent, or you can extend the legs. Take a deep breath in. And as you exhale, start to lean forward. So you're tilting the pelvis, but also rounding the back forward at the same time. Knees can bend more as you come forward, and just let your hands walk forward, either next to the legs, or you could have your hands on top of the legs. And let your heavy head drop down. So full forward bend, but now seated. It might feel a bit different than the standing forward bend we did. You can either flex your feet, your ankles or toes pointing up, or here you have an option to straighten your ankles, and the sensation might be quite different in that forward bend. So we can't really do that option easily when we're standing up, but here when we're seated, you could try straightening, pointing your feet, your ankles. Does that change how the forward bend feels? Take a few more breaths. You might slide yourself further forward. Keep the heavy head hanging down. And then slowly, after those couple of breaths, inhale, roll the back up. Bring yourself all the way up. Release the feet. You can roll the shoulders. And if you have a block under the pelvis, slide off the block. Take it aside. We won't be needing it anymore, as we're going to now come lie down on the back. So make sure you have room behind you, and then roll yourself all the way down. You could hold your knees, you could hold your thighs, and come lie down on the back. And we move into bridge pose. We have the legs bent. They could be about hip width apart or slightly wider. Arms just next to your sides. Finding that energy coming through the feet into the legs. Exhale, press the feet down and lift your pelvis, lift your back off the mat, opening the front side. A nice counter pose after those forward bends. And next exhalation, release the back, release the pelvis down. We're going to do that 2 more times. If you need to adjust your feet, you can here adjust the feet, and then same again. Exhale, press the feet down, lift the pelvis, lift the back off the mat. Keep your big toes, keep the inner side of the feet grounding down. And again, exhale, release down. If you need to make any adjustments, make them here. Then we'll do last, the longest bridge. 1 more time. Exhale, press the feet down. Lift the pelvis, lift the back up. And we're going to stay here about 5 breaths. So feel the inner thighs active, also buttocks active, but the inner thighs balancing that buttock action so that we're not squeezing the buttocks together, but more focus on hugging the inner thighs towards the center line. And the buttocks more just working to lift up. Open through the chest. You can breathe maybe towards the chest. And after your 5 breaths, slowly, slowly exhale, release the back down. And you could a couple of times swing the knees from side to side, windshield wipers, just releasing a bit. Now we're going to go back into bridge. We're going to try one-legged bridge, but this time only 3 breaths. So bring legs back to center. Leave your left foot onto the mat. Maybe bring it a bit more towards the center line, and then reach the right foot, the right leg up towards the ceiling. Inhale. And as you exhale, press the left foot down and lift the pelvis, lift the back off the mat. And a challenge here, keep your hips in the same level. Take 3 breaths in and out. The right foot reaching up. Keep the left foot pressing down. After those 3 breaths, exhale, release down. And hug both knees in towards the chest. You could rock a bit from side to side. Same one-legged bridge to the other side. So now bring your right foot onto the mat. Arms next to the sides and extend the left leg up. Kind of almost reaching the left foot up towards the ceiling. Inhale. Exhale, press the right foot down, lift the pelvis up, lift the back off the mat. Press the back of the shoulders onto the mat as well, as long as it doesn't hurt. And those 3 breaths. Still keep your inner thighs active, so we don't let the legs fall out to the sides. And after 3 breaths, slowly release the back, the pelvis down. Again, for a moment, hug the legs in. Rock a bit from side to side. And then we're going to come into 2 kind of twists. The first twist is actually more of an opening, a bit of a stretch for the buttock hip area after all these standing poses. So first, bring your let's do it the other way around. Let's bring the right foot down first. You're gonna see a bit better. And then open your left hip so that your left ankle is on the right thigh. So not on the knee, but on the thigh. So it's like figure 4 shape in the legs. And from here, I'm going to keep the chest open up to ceiling, but lower the right knee, the right thigh, and the left foot onto the floor on the right side of the mat. So the left foot is quite high up along the floor. The right knee kind of blocks the left foot down. If this doesn't feel right in your hips or in your knees, you could also step the left foot on top of the right knee. For some people, that gives a bit more space around the hips, because we are looking for a bit of a stretch here around the left buttock, the left thigh. So I suggest, imagine that left buttock is still sinking down towards the ground. It's not going to touch the ground, but just have that kind of sensation, idea of weight in the left buttock. And breathe in and out. The shoulders, the arms can rest. And then after another breath here, we're going to just close the top leg to arrive into kind of maybe a bit more regular reclining twist. So keep the chest open, close the top hip, bring the knees, the hips more on top of each other, and keep the chest open. So now you're in a full reclining twist. You might still feel this around the left hip, buttock, but now it's more of a clear twist for the spine. The right hand could just rest on top of the left thigh or knee. Breathe a couple more times in and out. And after those couple of breaths, slowly, slowly slide onto your back. So release the twist. And we're going to slowly make our way onto the other side. So now check that you have some space on the left side of the mat. And then leave the left foot down. Open the right hip into that figure 4 shape. So ankle on the left thigh. You're opening the right hip. And from there, start to just shift your left knee, left thigh towards the floor on your left side. So the right knee kind of stays pointing almost up towards the ceiling, maybe not quite. And again, you have an option to bring the right foot all the way down to the floor, or you might step the right foot on top of the left knee. Whichever way you could find some opening around the right buttock, the outside of the hip, maybe the right thigh. So again, let that right buttock sink down towards the floor. Not pushing it down, because most likely it's never going to touch the floor. It's just the idea, the visualization, feeling the weight of the right hip sinking down. And breathe. Send your breaths all the way down towards the pelvis, down towards the lower back. You might feel this all the way down in the lower back too. Take one more breath in this twisted figure 4, and then we do the other twist, so the reclining twist. Slowly with the next breath, stay in that twist, but close the right hip. So bring the knees, the hips more on top of each other. You might adjust your arms as well. You might open the right shoulder, right arm a bit higher up if you want. So now it's more of a clear twist for the spine. But keep breathing all the way down towards the hips. Keep releasing that right side body. Let's take a couple more breaths in and out in this last twist. And then slowly, slowly roll onto your back, release the twist. And now hug both knees in towards the chest. And this is an option. This is option number 1. Or if you want to go into a happy baby pose, turn your knees a bit more out to the sides and reach hands to your feet or to the backs of the thighs. And from there you could turn the soles of the feet up towards the ceiling, a full happy baby pose. If there are injuries in the arms, in the hands, and holding the feet is not an option now, remember, you can keep just hugging the knees in. That's equally good pose. Whichever one feels better for you now. We'll get a bit of rounding in the lower back. Just a few breaths. You might rock from side to side. Our last pose before Shavasana pose. So do what is needed for your body right now. And then we start to release the legs down. Bring the feet down from happy baby. Bring your feet all the way down onto the floor. And then let's find Shavasana pose. And you could find your resting pose on your back. Or you could choose to come lie down on the belly or lie down on one side, wherever you can find a moment of resting now. If neck feels tense, you could rock the head from side to side. the shoulders, arms, even your hands to soften, to relax. And let your hips, your thighs, your ankles, your feet to soften. The lower body has worked hard today, so find a moment of relaxation here. And then bring your full awareness back to your breath. Find your calm rhythm and your breath. The inhalations, exhalations, just flow in and out. Softening tension. This is your time to rest at the end of the practice. Give yourself at least a few more breaths in your Shavasana pose. You can also decide to extend your resting pose. It could be as long as you wish today, as long as it's needed today. So feel free to stay here longer. But if you feel that now would be a good time to close the practice and you'd like to do it sitting, then slowly start to wiggle the fingers, the toes, waking up the hands, the feet. Maybe reach arms overhead. Stretch the whole body long. Go from hands down to the feet. And if you are on your way up to a seated pose, then roll onto your side. And from your side, find an easy seated pose. You choose what that pose is today. We're going to take a few more breaths wherever you are to slowly close the practice together. If it's part of your practice, you can bring palms together in front of the chest. And as always, at the end of the practice, most importantly, thank yourself for taking this time to practice, to bring your body, your breath, your mind together. And I thank you very much for joining in. Namaste. Thank you. Good. Thank you so much for joining in. I hope you enjoyed the practice, and I wish you a very, very lovely day after this. If you enjoyed the practice, please give the video a thumbs up before you go, and also leave a comment below If you have any questions, let me know in the comments below. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. There will be loads more free classes and other yoga videos coming up. Thank you, and I'll see you on the next video. Bye!